Welcome to another episode of the Rhythm of the Road podcast. This podcast is not just about the journey, but also about the growth, transformation, and self-discovery that comes with life on the proverbial road. Grab a cup of joe, buckle up, and let's embark on a journey of self-discovery, creativity, and entrepreneurship. Let's get rolling.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Rhythm of the Road podcast. I know we just finished a series. It was about 3 parts long, and I say about 3 parts because I think this is technically going to be a 4th part, but I'm not going to add it to the series. I'm just going to say, now that you've listened to all these parts, and if you haven't listened to all these parts, go back 3 episodes, listen for a few minutes to each episode, get the idea, and then come back here. Because what I want to talk about today is we talked about this idea of building your business with using a song as a platform. But I was thinking about it, and I was talking to a group of people last night, and just this idea of like, what if we built our day through song? What would that look like? And you know, I don't want to be so technical, and I don't want to use all this music jargon that, you know, some of you may not understand. And then you don't have to go to a Google dictionary and look it up and try to understand what I'm talking about. But really what I want to talk about is like using song or using music or sound or textures to build out your day. What does that look like? How can you better your day? How can you worsen your day? Like, some people are always asking me like, well, how do I get rid of the anger? Or how do I get rid of being sad? Or how do I get rid of XYZ emotion? First of all, like, why do you want to get rid of that emotion? Like, if you're angry, like, we know that anger is a secondary emotion. So why are you angry? Or what is angering you or causing that anger? Or what is causing that anxiety? Like, we know what sadness is. Like, we're sad because ABC. We're sad because we lost a pet. We're sad because we lost a friend. We're sad because somebody told us no today. Who knows what that might look like for us? But what I want you to think about is like, how can I affect my day and change my day and make it go smoother by what I choose to listen to? And sometimes just starting the day with something sonically, whether that be I wake up to a radio in the morning, like, because if I start my day with an alarm clock going beep, 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 or any other version of that, I want to throw my alarm clock across the room. So I've chosen, or I figured out after physically breaking a few alarm clocks, and yes, I broke them. You can fact check that, ask my wife, she will tell you, and we will all have a laugh about it, I promise, is waking up to music. And I just choose a radio station. It doesn't really matter what it is, but I'm not waking up to that sound, because that sound triggers my brain into a response of like anger or frustration or like, no, thank you, sir. I am not getting up. But for some reason, if I just choose to wake up, listen to that song, and it's not because I'm actually listening to it, it's just how sonically I am awoken from my sleep, the day just goes better. So I'm immediately starting with something that's going to make my day go better. And then as I start my day, you know, I like to have silence in the morning, because part of my routine is waking up, drink my morning coffee after I've made it, of course, and then sit and read, or sit and journal, or sit and have some time to kind of just reflect and start my day with some positivity and start with gratitude. And I do that through silence. I don't allow myself to have a lot of sounds or things going on. I just want to sit in my thoughts, or if I'm reading, I want to be able to consume what I'm reading and not be distracted by other things. And then as my day gets going, I'm working in my office. Certainly I'll put on some sort of playlist or some sort of music that's going to help me get into that day. And sometimes it's like I need something to just kind of help me transition. There's 2 really important transitions in our day. One is that morning transition when we're going to work or our job, or, you know, if you're, doesn't matter where you're going, if you're starting whatever you're going to do for that day. And then the other one is that end of that day. And so we'll talk about that when we get there. But Sometimes I just need something to ease me into the day. Sometimes, like, I got some stuff to get done. So, like, let's go. Like, I'm going to ramp up that playlist. I'm going to put on something maybe with some energy. But when I'm working in the office, like, I want stuff constantly going. Like, I even find myself, like, I'll be like 3 to 5 times more productive if I just have music on. Sometimes I'm sitting here and I'm doing things and I'm realize, like, why is this hard? Why is it a challenge to do just basic tasks that I probably do fairly regularly or all week or something of that nature? I just put on something to listen to. And sometimes it doesn't even matter what it is. And immediately my productivity goes up 3 to 5 times and I become way more efficient because I'm like, my brain isn't having to consume all of that air or all of that time or all of that sound, because it can keep that creative space going. It can keep me moving forward. It gives me some sort of energy. And if I need to wander for 5 to 10 seconds, I'm wandering on something else that's kind of encouraging my ears and my brain. So I'll use that throughout the day. Sometimes I'll take breaks. Sometimes I'll ramp it up. Sometimes I'll slow it down. Sometimes I just put it on really low so that it's just in existence. Like, there are many times, like, if I'm on Zoom meetings all day, or, you're just doing lots of 2D kind of things where you're having those interactions, like, I'll put stuff on way in the background, typically tried it to be with no words. So I'm not, like, my brain isn't trying to cue into something or listen or interpret something. Just put on music, like a chill step or like house music or some kind of, like, whatever you consider easy listening without words, so that I just have it going on in the background all the time. So, like, if I'm on a meeting like a Zoom or something where it's being recorded, and I've even recorded podcast episodes like this with music on in the background, but you would never hear it because I keep it so low. Some reason it just keeps my energy and my flow going, and it makes me feel better and it makes things easier. And if we know things make it easier and it's going to make it better and we're going to have a better opportunity to be more successful, why wouldn't we do it? Right? We used to use it when we were kids all the time. We'd get sung lullabies to. We learned our ABCs, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, all of the nursery rhymes that got you through your preschool class, all of the things that got you through your kindergarten classes. And as you started learning, my kids, when they were in high school, all of the hard math things that they did, their teacher taught them songs to help them remember that. Or some of you probably remember the 50 States song. And as I just said that, you just started singing it, right? Because we can remember and we can go back. And it was so ingrained in us through song that we can remember that even today. So all of those things still work. And if you're going through a school time, or you're in college, or you're trying to learn new things, or you're doing professional development, or you're doing a licensing sort of thing, try to attach something to a simple song to help you remember it. A lot of people use, like, anagrams, or, they'll make out little pictures or anything of that nature. I suggest use a song, and use real basic ones that you've been singing or using all your life. The ABCs, or Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, or Ba Ba Black Sheep. All of those melodies, technically, they're all the same melody. They just have different words, but you can remember and you can sing them all. Or put it to your favorite anthem song that you listened to when you were in high school. I guarantee you have a half dozen of them that you could sing right now. And it brings you right back to that and makes it super easy. So attach something to that and make it easy for learning. So as I get to the end of my day and I need to transition back to family life or home life or whatever's coming next as a transition for my evening, I try to take a little bit of time. Now, my transition time is literally walking up 17 steps to get upstairs. Some of you might have like a 10 to 15 minute drive. Some of you in a metropolitan area might have like a 45 minutes to an hour drive. Try to put on something that matches the energy of whatever the space you just left. So, like, if you had an easy day and you're excited, put on something excited. If you had just a day that just really beats you down and you're just down and low, put on something that's down and low. Meet yourself where you're at. Or if you're just angry, or you had that really tough customer at the end of the day, or you just had a really hard conversation, some sort of crucial conversation with somebody in your office, and it's just feeling really heavy and you're pretty angry about it, put something on that's got some energy and some angst and some edginess to it, so that it gives you that same sort of energy, and then ramp yourself down or ramp yourself up, right? so often we try to use music to go the opposite direction. And I made this reference last night when we were talking to this group. And what I really want you to think about is like, meet yourself where you're at. When we talk about children, I've gone into lots of like preschool classrooms and early childhood classrooms. And when I walk into a classroom like that, I am a giant. I'm 6'2", and when they're sitting on the floor, I look like an absolute giant. So there becomes like this little bit of fear. And so the first thing that I would do when I would enter a classroom like that is sit on the floor, get down at their level, meet them where they're at, right? We also talk about that in terms of meeting children's energy where they're at. If they're really rambunctious, get some rambunctious energy with them and help them to calm down, maybe more to a not as heightened state. The same thing works with music and getting through your day. The end of that day, the transition time, you're doing those things. Meet yourself where you're at. Use that energy of where you're at. And then if you decide you need to move away from that energy, if you're very anxious or angry or frustrated and you want to move to something that you're not bringing home because maybe you're not frustrated with your family or your children or what's going on in that space, but you also don't want to carry that with you. Like, you can help to ramp yourself down, change that mood, change that music as you're making that drive home or making that transition time. And then it gives you that opportunity when you're there to not have brought that home, because we do need an opportunity for that stuff to process itself out. Or if like you're just super low energy and you're tired, like put on something chill and then ramp it up. Like if you want to give yourself some energy going to the evening, put on some Latin music or Cuban music. Like, the whole idea behind those genres of music is literally physically joy and energy. And many of you, as you listen to that kind of music, you can't help but move and feel yourself have this sense of joy or excitement. And not because you're going to be bouncing off the walls, but again, remember, we're moving from that chill, down, tired, sadness sort of space. So then you can use the same thing as you kind of enter an evening time. Some people will put on things like binaural beats or frequency driven sounds, or a lot of people, like, they really just want white noise. So they'll use a fan, or they'll use some sort of white noise generator, or they'll use something where they can listen to ocean sounds or some of like landscape, atmospheric kind of sounds. And some people, they just want to listen to simple piano music or something of that nature. I prefer nothing. The quieter, the better, because that's how I work. But sometimes you need to transition down, or you need to get into that space. And so however that works for you, experiment with it. If you're having problems going to sleep, or maybe you don't have any problems getting to sleep, but staying asleep, you can try some of those things to kind of get you through the day. So we talked about a lot of things. So if you need to go back and hit rewind and go back and kind of catch some of these pieces along the way, I'm sure we'll put some timestamps in throughout the episode so that you can kind of go back and hit some spots maybe that you missed or anything of that nature. But I want you to think about, how can you build your day better? And maybe what are the things that you're trying to do better or do different in your day, which would affect your week and your month and your year. And then ultimately it's affecting the people around you. Like, what could you do to better those things? Leave some comments of some things that maybe that you're using now already. Or if you have some questions, feel free to reach out to me, send me an email, put it down in the comments below, reach out to me on a social media space and ask any questions. I love getting those questions, and I love helping people to try to work through what those things look like and what they can look like for them, because it's always a process of discovery, because no person is the same. We all feel, experience, and take those things in differently, and we hear them differently because of the experience we have, the ears we have, all of the things. So think about it from the standpoint of, how can you better build your day, building it through a song or with a song, and not a specific song, but just in general, using music to kind of help that mindset, help your day, and build it to be even better. Thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate you taking some time to invest in yourself and take a listen. Please do me a favor, share it, like it, leave me a 5-star review if you're listening to this on audio. If you're listening on audio, make sure you go over to the YouTube page, Rhythm of the Road Podcast, and hit subscribe. because we're growing like crazy over there. And I appreciate all of you that continue to come back and watch and continue to come back and listen. If you have other topics or other things you want to hear about, or you just really like an episode and want to hear a little bit more, please leave that in the comments below, because I would love to add to these, bring you what you want to hear. Thank you again, and I'll see you down the road.
Thanks for cruising with me on this episode of Rhythm of the Road. Remember, the journey itself is the destination. Until next time, keep the rhythm flowing, and we'll see you down the road.